Alright, so I've been wanting to react to this for quite a while, but I haven't had the chance to. So it is, why are gamers upset with Assassin's Creed Shadows? I'm a big Assassin's Creed fan, I've played every single one of them. And I have an idea why people are upset with Assassin's Creed Shadows, and I have my own views on it. I want to hear what the Axeman has to say about it. I mean, sometimes we agree on things, sometimes we disagree, but he has very good arguments most of the time. So I'm looking forward to hear what he has to say. So let's have a look. Alright.
What's up, everybody? This is the Samurai Man here. Today, Ubisoft recently announced their newest Assassin's Creed game. Shadows the Hedgehogs. Nothing personnel, kid. Can you believe it? This series is finally going to Japan, a setting fans have been asking to go to for years. And the reaction has been entirely pleasant, unanimous praise. In fact, there is so little controversy to talk about that this is the end of the video. So thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a like if you did, and subscribe to the Samurai Man for more awesome.
Oh, if only. If only. But no, the world isn't that simple these days anymore. No. I'm surprised I'm surprised it took them this long, you know, because like the epitome of what, like, well, I wouldn't say being an assassin, but almost start the absolute similarities between assassins and ninjas is completely one-on-one, honestly. So I'm really surprised it took them this long. So let's see what else they have to say.
Some content.
The most disliked trailer in the series history.
This hate that he's getting does not make any sense.
Yeah, Ubisoft is definitely rattling the cage with this one. It's not just Assassin's Creed Shadows, though. If you look at Ubisoft's channel, every video they're posting is getting mass disliked. Twitter has been going off, and the Wikipedia page for the protagonist Yasuke is a fucking war zone right now.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of heated debate around Assassin's Creed Shadows right now, which is weird because the trailer itself looks pretty damn good visually. So something else must be going on. Something else is happening. And today, we're going to take a more nuanced approach to honestly answer the question, why are gamers upset with Assassin's Creed Shadows? Is everyone complaining about this game just gearing up for the next clan meeting?
Oh, jeez.
But I am. See, there's a lot more to it than just a black samurai, you know? People are right to be...
Yeah. I was waiting. This was my number one thing when it came to the whole Yasuke being black argument. People literally were like, no, there cannot be a black samurai, not whatsoever. But I'm like, dude, do your research. Yasuke was a real guy. He was a real black man. He was a real samurai. The thing is, that argument for it not being real and the fact that it not being real in a game is completely ridiculous, because just 2 games ago, in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, we played as Eivor, who is the reincarnation of Odin, a Norse mythology god. But yet a black samurai is too far, too unbelievable, yet a reincarnated mythologic god is completely fine. Ridiculous arguments, in my opinion.
Skeptical of anything Ubisoft puts out these days. And that's reason number 1. Ubisoft's reputation is kind of in the gutter. X-Defiant, their supposed COD killer, is also seeing a high percentage of dislikes on their recent trailer.
Oh my god, I haven't played much of this X-Defiant because I'm not really a big FPS shooter as I was back when I was a teenager, but my god, playing X-Defiant has been absolute fun. Like, it felt like old-fashioned Call of Duty, and the specialists as well, or not the specialists, the factions, remind me of Black Ops 4, and honestly, Black Ops 4, one of my top 5 Call of Duties of all time. There, I said it.
Star Wars Outlaws, same deal. Skull and Bones, the first quadruple A game. and your ship has a stamina bar. So the dislikes on the Shadows trailer is not like an isolated incident. People aren't just
Sorry, I had to take a drink. Yeah, I cannot believe the disappointment Skull and Bones was. I was so hyped. I was like, yes, we're finally going to get Assassin's Creed Black Flag, you know, solely based on the naval combat, which I absolutely adored. And yet, when the beta came out, just, my god, horrendous.
upset with what they saw in the trailer. They're upset with everything Ubisoft has been doing recently, like taking down online servers for this old racing game called The Crew. Instead of allowing fans to host their own fan servers and keep playing the game, Ubisoft is instead removing it from people's digital libraries and rendering physical copies unplayable. Yes, they certainly do want us to be comfortable with not owning our games. Oh, and by the way, you need an internet connection to play Shadows. Oh shit, wait, tell them they only need an internet connection to install the game. Crisis averted. This is just the tip of the...
That was just a leak, I believe, though. Somebody was just saying you need an internet connection, but then for the whole thing, and everybody just took it wildly out of context. Obviously, you need an internet connection to download a game these days, but no. Fortunately, we don't have to have an internet connection to play the entire game, Ubisoft says.
The iceberg. The second reason gamers are upset is Ubisoft's pricing model.
Pre-order Assassin's Creed Shadows coming November 15th. Excuse me, have you pre-ordered yet? Pre-order now. Watch this trailer and don't forget to pre-order. Play 3 days early by pre-ordering any premium edition.
What the fuck is Amazon Luna? Max with Silicon? What the fuck?
Pre-order now to get a bonus quest. Discover the gold and ultimate editions. Discover them. Pre-order. Learn more about how you can fucking pre-order it 100 times.
Statue's kind of sick though.
Yeah, actually, I've never really looked twice at, you know, these big collector's edition things where you get, like, you know, models and that, and, you know, maps and books and that. But honestly, this has actually been really intriguing me. I mean, the box art for that, awesome, so beautiful for that. And then obviously the two characters as well. So you don't just get one, you get two. Obviously one being a samurai as well, and the other being a ninja. And then, yeah, the map of the whole thing. And then this, like, tapestry thing. One thing as well, oh, it doesn't say it, but if memory serves right, it says a life-size replica of Yasuke's samurai sword. But they fail to say that it's only the guard. Like, that's it. So they say it's the whole... They like, advertise it as, like, a whole sword, but it's actually only a guard. So, yeah, I was a bit confused when I first saw that, but yeah, it is just the guard, which is a bit scummy from them.
Yeah, so for the same reasons people were upset with Outlaws, this pricing model is just not cool. It's not very Bushido of you, Ubisoft. Now, apparently Shadows is like the #1 pre-order game in Japan right now. I don't know how true this is.
Whoa, what was that? Assassin's Creed Shadows, #1 on Amazon Japan's PS5 bestseller list. 6 in America, #1 in the UK, #1 in Germany, and #2 in France. Very interesting. So yeah, even though people are like, you know, Assassin's Creed kind of going on a downhill cycle, people are still buying it. And actually, you know what, let's face it, no matter what, I'm more than likely going to own this game at one point, whether it'll be from day one or like Valhalla, like I got it like a couple of months afterwards. But yeah, I'm gonna be playing this game at least, you know, once in my life.
Game in Japan right now. I don't know how true this is, but if so, this is why we can't have nice things. Remember, no pre-orders. There's literally no point to it anymore. And also, like, a season's pass.
Yeah, I never pre-order games anymore. That's the thing. I've got to a point, you know, where I'm living at my own place. I'm watching every single purchase I make. And you know what? What's the difference between me playing the game from when it comes out, when it's like 70 quid, compared to, just a few months down the road when I can get it on offer, like on Black Friday or around Christmas time when it's like about 50 quid. You know what? It's all mind games. Trying to drain every single penny out of you, but I don't give in to that.
Single player game. Are we in 2016 right now? What's happening? We're really going back to this? I can't think of any other game that still does a season pass. I just feel like there's something inherently scummy with opening up purchases for a game without showing any actual gameplay. So yeah, both Outlaws and Shadows are monetized in the exact same way, and nobody really likes it. Next reason.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't mentioned it, but he did an incredible video of, in fact, why are AAA games getting worse? He went through like an entire 10 minutes explaining how everything was just, pre-order, and the reason for that, they have to try and get as much money as possible because there are so many investors, and video games makes a lot of money. A lot of people don't want to accept it, but video games make a lot of money. More money than a lot of people can understand. And it's scummy, but you can understand, because as soon as you see a trailer, as good as Shadows, if I had more money than sense, then more than likely I'm going to pre-order it after I see that, because I'm going to be hyped for it, and I want to play it immediately, as soon as possible.
People are kind of bored of Ubisoft's game design. The huge open world filled with the same copy and pasted missions and side quests with tons of busy work and tedious grinding. Ubisoft's game and open world design is just too safe and by the books, and they have a bad habit of stretching out their titles to be way longer than they should. So this does kind of tie in with their reputation thing, but the earlier Assassin's Creed games took place in cities that were more condensed, which made a lot of the activities and the story, closer together. A lot of it was still copy and pasted, but you didn't have to run so far to get to the next side objective or what.
Yeah, that was the biggest problem for me with Valhalla, because even though it's set in England, my home country, and I love my country, it's just a lot of nothing. A lot of open fields, and getting everywhere was just completely too much. I mean, you could go to Norway and Vinland or whatever, but still.
Whatever. With their more recent titles, Ubisoft has been stretching out the runtime and the size of the open world, and it's not really making the games any better.
Bigger doesn't always mean better.
Same reason a lot of people prefer Banjo-Kazooie over Tooie. I myself am a hardcore Tooie stan, but I get it. So fans are likely worried that this game will follow the same generic formula. I hope not. Now, with all this in mind, you can see how there's automatically a bias against whatever Ubisoft releases. People simply do not have faith in them. They have a long history of anti-consumer practices and absurd monetization. But let's move on to the more controversial angle. Are gamers mad because Yasuke is black?
Black? Did you say black? You called him black?
He is black.
Oh, he said it again!
I mean, yeah, for some people, they're happily taking this opportunity to post racism. I mean, why wouldn't they? If you're a racist, you just got some great content to work with.
We're finally going to Japan. And I still gotta see you.
What?
Whoa, that is...
The problem
The hell?
is trying to figure out who's trying to make a genuine point and who's just taking this opportunity to be racist. It's like a guessing game, Assassin's Creed Shadows, George Floyd's skin. Yeah, that's enough talking about that.
No.
This is only a
Pricks.
small part of why gamers are mad. So there's two protagonists, the first one being Yasuke, who is a historical figure, a black samurai. Allegedly the first black samurai in Japan, the first foreign samurai in fact. And the other is Nawe, a shinobi assassin. Now Yasuke has been portrayed in a bunch of other media, but I've never seen any of these other shows or games generate even a fraction of the controversy that Shadows has.
True. That's the thing. Everybody just... it doesn't affect them until it affects, something that's kind of mainstream. They don't care if it's, something that happens, out of their line of vision. they only care when it's like, you know, big and they can probably get their stupid little voice heard.
Not star a native Japanese man? This is a good question and one certainly worth lifting an eyebrow. To my knowledge, most Assassin's Creed games star a fictional protagonist native to the setting, with any real historical figures being side characters or villains. And if I'm not mistaken, Shadows is the first game where you both play as a historical figure and it's someone not native to the setting. These 2 points have made some gamers suspicious of Ubisoft's intentions. Are they really choosing Yasuke because it's the best decision creatively and narratively? Personally, I think the idea has a lot of potential, but we'll talk about that later. The point is that some people see this as like a diversity checklist or something along those lines. However, like I said, Naoe is also native to Japan. So there is a native character that you can play as, but unfortunately, she's a woman. And women aren't real people.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
Yeah, this is something that a lot of the culture warriors online are not highlighting, that there is a native protagonist. So I personally don't see it as such a huge issue. I think all of the other pricing stuff and everything else that's wrong with Ubisoft is much more important to me as a gamer and not a culture.
See, number one thing when I saw that it was going to be like the 2 protagonist thing between Yasuke and... Oh god, I keep forgetting her name because it's difficult for me to pronounce, especially with my stammer. Naoe, I think it is. See, whenever I try so hard to not slur that. But yeah, when I see that there was 2 there, I was immediately like, oh, they're going to be doing something like the Jacob and Evie Fry thing in Assassin's Creed Syndicate. You know, the Jacob was like the big butch guy. He was, you know, the brute, the get in, don't care how much noise you make. Whereas Evie was the stealth one. But the thing is, they didn't really diverse them enough in terms of the skill parts. Like, it didn't matter if you were Jacob, you know, doing a stealth thing. You could still stealth with Jacob, like, relatively well. And in that case, I just felt like, what's the point of even playing as Evie? Whereas if they do it well and have Naoe as like the main stealth person and have Yasuke as, you know, the samurai, you know, always have his big samurai armor on, you'd actually find a reason to actually use Naoe. Jeez, I've got to find some way to mention her another way.
Warrior. Now, some folk will say, well, why not just go play Ghost of Tsushima or Sekiro or any other of the hundreds of Japanese samurai games that star a Japanese guy? Well, I think Assassin's Creed fans just want that same thing for their own franchise. For some people, I don't think it's really all that complicated. But then again, Ubisoft games are already too safe, so would it be too safe of a direction to just star a random Japanese guy? I don't know. People see Yasuke as evidence that there's an agenda being pushed, and while that could very well be the case, a lot of the people saying this right now are already saying this about 100 different things. Everything else has to be pushing an agenda when, you know, your content is based around that. For me, whether or not it's woke or pushing an agenda is going to come down to the writing and the storytelling, as it always does. I think there's a really good example in the Battlefield 5 trailer where it's much more clear that something else was going on. It's actually the perfect counterpoint. Battlefield 5 is set in World War II and you want to have female representation? Lucky for you, there were like 1 million female snipers in the Russian army. But no, have this like weird British lady with a robot claw who keeps dying and coming back, and it's... So I think Battlefield 5 is more of a relevant example where you can extrapolate some kind of agenda being pushed. But you also have to remember that when Battlefield 1 was announced and people saw the cover art, they also had the same complaint. Why is there a black guy on the cover? Then the game came out and it was a fucking masterpiece and nobody ever talked about that again.
Absolutely.
Something similar kind of happened with the Fallout show. There was this initial reaction to the trailer where they're like, oh, it's woke. Fallout's been destroyed. oh, it's terrible. And then the show came out and most people loved it. And most of the complaints people had with the show revolved around the lore and how that was handled. So I think a lot of the people calling it woke and all that are just jumping to conclusions because that's kind of what their content revolves around. The next reason gamers are upset: Assassin's Creed Shadows isn't historically accurate. If you said something along these lines and you genuinely believe this statement, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt right now, and I think you're mistaking historical fiction for historical accuracy. They are not the same thing. Again, going back to Battlefield 1 and 5, historical accuracy is, okay, we've got this game set in World War II. Are we trying to make it feel like World War II? Are we trying to make it feel like World War I? The historical accuracy conversation is usually reserved for games that are like recreating battles that actually happened. Are the dates of certain invasions in World at War correct? Was there actually a battle on Peleliu? That's historical accuracy. Historical fiction is the story inserted into that setting. Like I said, when you're watching a trailer for a World War II game and some cyborg lady shows up, your brain is like, that shouldn't be there. And you feel weird. This argument does not apply to Assassin's Creed at all. In fact,
Yeah, but honestly, it can be a mixture of both, because Assassin's Creed is known for being quite historically accurate. A lot of, events throughout history have actually been in their games, and they've actually been, dated right. One thing that immediately pops to mind is Louis XIV's execution. He was executed by the guillotine, and many battles, everything in that, they were all dated right. But so that's the historical accuracy part sorted, but then the historical fiction part of it is you as the fictional playable character was then inserted into that. Although is that just classed as historical fiction? I'm not too sure.
in fact, that's like the entire point of the Assassin's Creed stories.
Oh, he basically just explained what I said in just a few words.
That this is the history you haven't been told. Here's the real truth. And I've always felt Assassin's Creed was cathartic because you get to indulge in a conspiracy theory and see it presented to you. You get to watch it play out in the past and in the present. So Assassin's Creed not being historically accurate is like the fucking foundation of their story. It's like the premise of the entire franchise. So if you're complaining about historical accuracy, still at this point, it's hard to believe you have any experience with this franchise. Right, here's another example. JFK getting assassinated. That's a historical event. The way Umbrella Academy handles that historical event is historical fiction. It's taking this thing that happened or existed and creating your own story involved with it. Therefore, Yasuke not being historically accurate as a samurai is completely irrelevant because this is a fictional story in a real setting. It's historical fiction. Now, if we get a new trailer for Shadows and we see like samurais with jetpacks, you guys are going to have a real argument.
Absolutely, yes.
Wait a minute. Samurais with jetpacks. Has it been done before? Oh my god, it has! Another reason gamers are upset with Shadows.
I was like, oh my god, what? No, don't tell me that there's been like a leak or something of somebody saying, Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to have jetpacks. Oh, jeez.
My god, it has! Another reason gamers are upset with Shadows. Yasuke wasn't a samurai. This is pretty much just arguing semantics because we just established that Assassin's Creed is built on historical fiction, not historical accuracy. So whether or not he was is completely irrelevant. Personally, because his origins and his early life and even his original name are still unknown to us, from a narrative perspective, this opens a lot of doors creatively because you can come up with your own story about his life. Whether it's done well or not, and it's written in a compelling, interesting way, remains to be seen, and that will be the determining factor on whether or not we look back on this game as something that pushed an agenda and fucking sucked because it compromised its writing for that, or a story that was genuinely interesting because it presented this historical figure and wrote a story around them within the setting of Assassin's Creed. Also, the thing about Yasuke, again, because he's very mysterious, is that he could have also worked as a side character or even a villain. When I saw this shot of him in the trailer with the flames, I was like, yo, he would be a pretty fucking cool villain, just visually, like the one black samurai. But then again, people might criticize Ubisoft and be like, oh, just the one black samurai you decide to make a villain.
Yeah.
A villain.
Immediately.
So you're gonna have people.
That's the immediate argument everybody would just, you know, it's like similar to horror movies. Oh, the black guy immediately has to die. As soon as you see a black guy in a horror movie, you know they're dead. Yeah.
Talking shit no matter what. At the end of the day, what matters most is if the game is good, right? And if it's monetized properly. You know what would be really funny though is to make an Assassin's Creed game where it's set in a certain place and nobody is native. Like if they were all Mexican sombrero wearing samurais. That would be awesome. I want to see a game where everyone is just an unapologetic stereotype. So when it comes down to it, there are some valid questions to ask about Ubisoft's intentions, but I think the debate around whether Yasuke was a samurai, whether they're putting in a black samurai to get, you know, better DEI points or whatever, I think that conversation is not as important as how they're monetizing it and what else Ubisoft is doing and all the anti-consumer stuff. Remember guys, no pre-orders, okay? But what do you think? Do you agree or disagree with what I had to say? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to The Act Man for more awesome content. Alright everyone, that's all I got for today. This is The Act Man, signing out. Peace! What's up, everybody?
Good work, my friends. I definitely give you a like for that. And why am I not subscribed? Jeez. I apologise for my rudeness. So yeah, a lot of things I agreed with that. And yeah, not really too much else that I can really add on, apart from what I've already said already. So yeah, it's just everything that he's just said, you know, in terms of how Ubisoft are saying, you know, the game, we've only just shown you a very glimpse amount, no gameplay or anything like that, but yeah, give us over 100 quid for it. Yeah, that's you know, the bad thing about it, but in terms of everything, you know, everything everybody said about Hogwarts Legacy, about it, you know, being like something for a game for white supremacists, I saw some people say, you know, everything, all that argument is now completely gone because, you know, everybody's played Hogwarts Legacy, and it's been a great game. Absolutely fantastic. I loved every single minute I did when I played it. And yeah, those arguments are just completely irrelevant now. But yeah, in terms of as well, I know it's going to get endless comparisons between Shadows and Ghost of Tsushima, obviously, because they're two very, at the core, they're two very similar games. It's just interesting to see how Shadows is going to diverse itself from it, because Tsushima is, in all aspects, like a damn near perfect game, honestly. So yeah, I saw also in the trailer as well, Yasuke uses a kanabo, which is like, you know, a big, thick bat with like studs in it. And I'm like, that was the only thing that I was wanting more from Ghost of Tsushima. You, like, in Ghost of Tsushima, you can only use your sword, your like mini dagger only for assassinating people, and you can only use your bows. You do have like ghost weapons than that, but I'm talking about like actual handheld weapons. And yeah, you didn't have too much in terms of options with that. So I'm hoping that Shadows, you can use other samurai-friendly weapons like the kanabo, the naginata, many other things. So yeah, looking forward to that. Be sure to give this a watch yourself, and be sure to give it a like as well if you agreed. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.